Finding Nemo, or should I say Finding Nobody, is one of the most favorite childhood movies across the board. I think it's number 3. That's not the point. The point is, so many people like this movie, but aren't asking the right questions. How can Dory read? This is not shown in the movie. There's no explanation of this, yet people still love this movie and don't talk about it. It doesn't make sense. So I took it upon myself to explain why Dory can read. Welcome to the You Thought Plot, where I explain my crazy theories about movies that you know and love. Let's get into it. As I mentioned before, the movie Finding Nemo means finding nobody. People always talk about, oh yeah, this movie means finding nobody because Marlin is looking for no one. Marlin literally made this all up in his head because of his trauma. No. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense because we wouldn't have a Finding Dory. So my theory is that Nemo is part robot. Follow me here. And the movie is really about finding Dory. How does this make sense? I will explain. Dory is literally a super fish that can read. How can't any of the other fish read? A lot of people say this is explained because Dory lived at the Marine Life Institute in California when she was younger. But once she goes back, she is the only fish that can read. And that still stands. No other fish can read. So there must be another reason why Dory can read. And this brings me to the dentist, aka the mad scientist as I would like to call him, but I'll keep calling him the dentist. Before the movie even began, the dentist was so obsessed with science and the ocean when he was growing up. He was extremely smart, the top of his class, and maybe even the smartest person in the world. We don't know. But he loved to create science experiments in his free time. And once he got out of high school, he went to the Marine Study Institute in Sydney to study oceanography. But he also had a plan B, which was to get his DMD degree so that he could become a dentist if things didn't work out in oceanography. As you see in the movie, things did not work out so well for his oceanography career. So after college, he took a gap year before starting his dentist career in order to focus on oceanography and science for the last time. Or so he said. He enjoyed scuba diving, of course, but he wanted to get up close and personal with them fishes. And what better way to do that is other than collecting the fish? And he also grew to love experimenting with the fish. That's why I said he's a mad scientist. He kind of sus. This all explains why he has a fish tank in his dentist office. And it's not like it's a fish tank provided by the dentist office. He takes care of the fish, as you guys see in the movie. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? Let me just cool down. Dory was supposed to go through extensive testing by the dentist. Follow me here. One might say the reason why he's such a bad dentist is because he's so obsessed with his fish. He's so obsessed with experimenting with them. And Dory, this is where she comes into the picture. She was a fish that he tested on. He made some inventions that he thought could change the world, but the main project he worked on was having to do with Dory. He was trying to figure out how to find a way to show the world that a fish can learn how to read or have the ability to read, so that he could become the richest man in the world. It's not like he's gonna make billions being a dentist. But this still doesn't make sense. How is Nemo a robot? And how Marlin even became a robot fish father. It was actually all part of the plan. Remember how Dory found out she could read? I'm gonna take you back to the scene actually. It was completely sus. You remember how she just started reading out of nowhere? She's sounding out words, and the first word she read was escape. And Marlin was like, oh, you can read? And she says, I can read? Then she says, that's right, I can read. Like, girl, how did you forget? And how is it coming back to your remembrance right now? See, this is actually important because Dory escaped from the dentist. Well, remember how I told you that the dentist loved collecting fish? Well, Dory was one of the first fish, and not only that, he collected her to test her on the first day he found her. He thought, what if I could make a fish have the ability to read? He spent 12 months creating and perfecting 2 things. A device to be able to hear fish talking, because we all know that fish and animals talk in this movie. Except the pelicans. Anyway, not only did he execute creating this device to be able to hear fish, but he also took a part of his own DNA and inserted it into Dory's brain. How? This is where his dentist knowledge comes into play. Have y'all ever gotten like a filling at the dentist and they have to inject you? Yeah. So he mixed the injection with his own DNA and injected it into Dory so that she could be able to read. Well, we do have to remember that Dory has short-term memory loss since a child. So the next day after her procedure, the dentist went to work, of course, leaving Dory in a bag by the window, as he did to the other fish in the movie. She doesn't know where she is, and she doesn't remember the procedure, but she does remember that she lives in the ocean, because that's a core memory, just like an Inside Out. Dory rolls out of the window into the ocean, and the dentist gets back and sees Dory is gone and has rolled out of his window. His masterpiece, his road to $1 billion is gone, but he knows she's in the ocean. But how could he get her back? He was now at the start of his career as a dentist, and he couldn't just spend time exploring the ocean. So what did he do? He created Nemo. Now, as I said earlier, Nemo is part robot, part fish. The dentist did some weird things in his lab and he made that work. Nemo's whole purpose is to find Dory and alert the dentist when he finds her. Now, Nemo has a mental picture in his mind of what Dory looks like, so he knows what to look for and when to notify him. Marlin was honestly just an asset. He was just a tool being used to find Dory as well. And he got tricked into thinking Nemo was his son. I have more explaining to do, don't I? But since most people's attention span is the size of a goldfish or smaller, you'll have to come back for part 2. This is only the beginning.